It's our pleasure to have Pat Keay here this morning. Pat is an employee of Heifer International. She's the National Community Engagement Director. She's based in Massachusetts, where she works mostly with faith community groups and school groups in her work there. She's joined by Michelle, who is from the Arkansas branch of Heifer International. Michelle has two last names, which was one too many for me today, so you'll have to introduce yourself to Michelle after the service. And other guests who are here who have joined us from the Heifer International event that was held at Camp Mac Friday and Saturday this past weekend. We welcome you, and Pat, we look forward to your message this morning. Thank you.
Thank you, and I'm so honored to be with all of you this morning. So I want to thank you for this wonderful invitation to join you this beautiful morning. It's truly an honor for me to be able to share Heifer International with each of you. And I've always felt blessed to be a part of Heifer's work. What greater work could I be doing than helping to feed the world? You know, we know that there are more than enough resources around the world to feed those in need. Yet nearly 870 million people live around the world in poverty. And we know in the last 20 years, we've seen significant strides made in ending hunger and poverty. But research shows that when investments are made in the world's 2.6 billion small-scale farmers, agriculture can make twice the impact on poverty as growth in other areas. How many of you are farmers? Okay. How many of you recognized anyone in that clip? No? From back? Yeah. Okay. Heifer right now is currently working in 30 countries, including right here in the United States, to provide livestock, trees, seeds, and training in environmentally sound agriculture. However, the work that we do is more than just the inputs that Heifer provides. It's about the communities and the decisions that they make about what crops, animals, and market strategies make sense for the conditions that they experience every day. Community decisions that yield sustainable solutions for poverty and world hunger relief. By working together, families and Heifer Project communities see higher incomes, healthier livestock, and better access to education. So since 1944, Heifer has helped more than 20.7 million families, and that translates to 105.1 million men, women, and children on a path toward prosperity. You know, and being here the last few days in this part of the country, it all started right here. I mean, that is so exciting that little idea that started right here is 105 million people. That's a lot of people. It's a lot of people. So I'd like to talk a little bit about a trip that I took to Haiti last summer. Most of you know that Haiti is the least developed country in the Western Hemisphere. It's one of the poorest in the world. It ranks 146th out of 177 countries in the UN's Human Development Index. Inappropriate economic policies, political instability, a shortage of good land, and environmental degradation are factors attributed to the economic stagnation of this country. The severe deforestation makes the country extremely vulnerable to hurricanes, droughts, floods, and other disasters that can paralyze the entire population. Through all the high-profile visits, millions and millions of dollars pouring into the country, and concern from the international community that Haiti just doesn't have what it takes to rebuild itself. But you know what? Heifer sees otherwise. Sustainability and self-reliance, one of Heifer's most important of the 12 cornerstones for just and sustainable development, is defined and measured by farmers, women, families, communities, and all those we serve as being able to thrive after the heifer support ends. And self-reliance is alive, and it is well in Haiti. Last July, I visited our goat breeders project in Haiti. And we had some problems with some of the projects down there with the goats. And mostly because the quality of the livestock, we couldn't quite get that quality to what it needed to be. So we decided after what happened down there with the horrible earthquake, that we would take a step back and look at it as more holistic approach, and thought, how do we begin this? How do we begin this value chain? Well, in order to have good goats, you need to have good goat breeders. So we needed to pull some people in there that really knew how to raise the best goats for Haiti. So we set up some breeding centers. And so in these breeding centers, they have high quality goats, and our farmers, our project partners, can go directly to those breeders, and that's where they receive their animals. So they're getting a very high quality goat. So right from the get-go, they're getting good quality, which is going to make their project more successful. The other part of that program is we've created a community-based animal health care system in Haiti. So we choose participants from the community to learn basic health care, and it's applicable to all animal species, so they can use that knowledge to train animal health workers in the field. So we regularly hold what we call training of trainers. So these animal care workers come in, and we train this group of animal care workers, and they in turn can train local people on how to take care of the very basic needs of the livestock. So each of these people has a very basic livestock kit, and they're right based in the community, and they can take care of some of the animals there. And because they have been trained, and because they have their kit, they're able to go around from farmer to farmer, and they know the folks in their own community, and they're able to get an income from that. So when you think about the different income sources from heifer, you always think about the animals, right? That's the whole thing. It's just about the animals. But it's so much more, because these particular healthcare workers are helping, and they're also able to get an income from that. So that's pretty, we really are excited about that model that we do use. Also, while we were in Haiti, we had the opportunity to spend an afternoon at a women's cooperative, very far from market. And I don't know if any of you have ever traveled out of this country in areas like Haiti, but it's not easy. You know, we have Google Maps. Michelle and I got in the car this morning, and we said, yep, 22 miles, Camp Mac to Creekside, we're all set. When you go to Haiti, it's just not like that. The roads aren't like they are here. It's very, very challenging. We had a four-wheel drive vehicle, huge car. And in order to get to this village, we had to travel up these steep hills for about 45 minutes, and we're dodging huge boulders in the road. We get up a little bit higher, and there's a river. And I'm not talking like a little creek. This is like a river. And we're like, oh my gosh, we can't, we're not going to be able to go. There's a river. And our driver was like shaking his head and saying, no, we'll get by it. A couple of kids swimming, and they guided our four-wheel drive vehicle through the first one, because there were 7 of these that we navigated to get to this village. So you think, as hard as this village works, and they have a wonderful co-op up there that they built themselves. They were able to build this through the money that they received through selling of some of the animal byproducts. They all came together, and they assessed the needs of their community, because that's what Heifer Project Partners do. We don't go in there and say, we think you should do this, and we think you should do that, and you ought to do that over there, and your life will be better, and when we leave, and that's it. That's not how it works. The women came together in that community, and they saw a need. One big need they had there was nutritious food for the children in schools. So they were able to grow some crops, and they were able to start a small kitchen area, and they were able to produce these small nutritious snacks that they could give to the children in the schools. They also made some jams, and they made some products made out of honey. Very nice. And they started originally in a very small area, But when we were there, they had just moved into this wonderful center that they had built. These women had built this themselves. I mean, this was incredible. And because they were able to build this themselves and they were able to get an income there, a lot of the other women in the community were able to be employed. Not only the women, but a lot of the men as well. So the whole community benefited from this one enterprise. And that's really is what Heifer is all about. And when we ask the women about the startup costs, so because we're all about, what does it cost? What's the bottom line? And, we're asking all the questions and big smiles on their faces. And they said that they had saved all the money to build those centers. So it's pretty amazing about the power of the women and in these communities. They're very, very strong. So I've been told that in 1941, the Brethren Service Committee found its charter in the words of what we heard this morning. I was hungry, and you gave me food. I was a stranger, and you took me in. I was naked, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you visited me. And I was in prison, and you visited me. And Dan West took these words to heart as he laid the early groundwork for his Heifer International. And as we've spent the last few days with the West family and other members, the cowboys, and heard that rich history, I'm just pulled back to just the history that is right here, and the fact that one person, just one person, can make that kind of a difference around the world. We think about in our own lives, what's our idea? What's our rock that we're going to throw out there and make that ripple effect? Because I really believe that in each one of us has that in ourselves to be a person that really, really can make a difference. And I'm not talking about like a Dan West kind of thing where I can't even imagine that Dan West, when he was sitting around a circle, and there are some young people that say, no, that wasn't Dan's idea. That wasn't Dan's idea. Dan took, he brought that idea he brought the idea that there were hungry children in Spain back to a youth group. And some of the members of the youth group claim, we came up with that idea. I heard that from his daughter, Jan, that some of them said, no, it was the kids. It was the youth. Because the youth, they just get it, don't they? The youth just get it. See, I'm looking at the youth. They just get it, right? You're not looking at all the bottom line and what's the ROI and what's it going to look like on a spreadsheet. Just say, hey, there's a problem. This is a really simple way we can solve it. And you think about that. Get them a cow, of course. How hard can that be? You're, 3,000 miles away. You've got, just put them on a ship and send them over there. It's not going to be that hard. But you think about what's your passion? What's your idea? What's your idea? I knew that Heifer had started its work with Dan's affiliations with the Church of the Brethren. But visiting with Jan, I realized how much of the story that I had really never heard. So she let me know that Heifer's roots really were from the peace churches. Church of the Brethren, Mennonite, Quaker. So it's the faith communities, such as this one, that have really supported Heifer since its inception. And we are just so grateful for your support. Our team we have 17 folks in the field that work primarily with faith communities. And this is like the high point of their job, is when they're able to come in and talk about Heifer to faith communities and to come in and thank each one of you for your support along the way. Because we can't do this work without you. We have to have your support. Jesus set us a great example in today's scripture passage of how we can work together and take care of one another. And so now we're fulfilling that example together. So thank you for your past support. Thank you for what you're doing now and what you will do. Because we can only end hunger and poverty by working together. Peace be with each of you. Amen.